Hi, today on the podcast, we have a very special guest. He is a wonderfully sweet, generous, charming man. His name is David Crowley. He is a director. He's an acting coach for the BAFTA award-winning soap opera Hollyoaks. And he also has his own acting school with 3 brick-and-mortar schools in the UK, as well as online courses available 3 times a week. So you are not going to want to miss this interview. He was so generous and forthcoming with all sorts of things, the auditioning process for auditioning for a huge show like HolyOaks, how to come into an audition with your best self, ready to crush it, basically. And many more things that I can't think of right now. But I would love it if you take a minute during the video, if something really hits you or stands out to you, to just write whatever it is in the comments. I am so interested in that. So if you like videos like this, please take a moment to like and subscribe. Your help and support really does mean the world to me, and it makes the biggest difference in those algorithm thingies. People, whatever. I have no idea what those algorithms are, but they are very important. So please do take a moment to do that. And without further ado, let's get into the interview. Hello, bold ones, and welcome to the Act Bold podcast. Today, I have a very special guest, Mr. David Crowley from the UK. David is a director. He is an acting coach for the BAFTA award-winning soap opera Hollyoaks, as well as the owner and director of 3 acting schools in the UK. David, did I get all that right, or did I miss anything? I'm sure I did.
No, you're absolutely
It's probably just scraping the top of a very deep iceberg.
well, that's you're right. The 3 acting schools are under one name, Act Up North. So it's
Act Up North. Yeah.
So we've got the acting schools in Leeds, Liverpool, and Manchester, but they all are kind of under the brand of Act Up North. And we've also got online classes as well that we run, which is
amazing. Yeah.
So that kind of spreads out worldwide. Really, we've got people from all over the place that come to study with us online, which is great.
That's amazing. I definitely want to come back to that one. So tell me a bit, we were just talking a little bit before we started the podcast about this Sizzle project, this new project that you're working on. So tell me a bit about that, because that was really interesting.
Yeah, so I'm literally going to be filming this today. Well, starting filming this today. So we've got a couple of days shooting on this. And there's 2 really, really exciting writers that I'm working with at the moment who have written a pilot. And they've got me involved. Well, and I've read their work and love their work. Always have done. I've kind of had a bit of a relationship with them in the past with other projects, and this is a great idea that they've got, and it's called Assassin Nation, and we're about to shoot the Sizzle, so we're going to be doing that today. And basically, the idea behind the Sizzle is to get people interested visually in the idea. Before they go on, hopefully, and read the pilot, and then want to back the project and start getting more traction on the idea. The good thing about the idea as well is it's got legs to go not only into one season, but there's multiple seasons that you can play off of. They've really thought long and hard about a really good story, and this is today really is the start of that journey, and it's really, really exciting to be a part of that initial.
That's amazing.
Up and go.
Well, and they say in Germany they press their thumbs, so I'm going to press my thumbs and cross my fingers for you on that one. Thanks. So the writers, were they people that you knew through Hollyoaks, or
no? I actually know these. There's a writer called Scott Scott Coker, and I know him because he actually came through the acting school. He's an actor as well, and he came through my acting school, and I trained him as an actor, and he's a fabulous actor, and he also was interested in writing, and he's been kind of pitching a few ideas to me over the years. I mean, I've known him now for, I don't know, maybe about 8 years, possibly, maybe 9 or something. He's brilliant. And Fran, who he's co-writing this project with, I think Fran got in touch with me. I can't remember how we got to know one another actually, but it was quite a few years ago again, and she got in touch with me actually I think it was about shooting a show reel. I also shoot show reel material for actors.
Okay.
And
yeah.
and it just so happens that Scott and Fran knew one another and
We're
started to
friends.
collab on this project.
That's amazing. So I think that that's super interesting. What kind of a genre is it? You know that I'm a writer, right? Because that's how we know each other.
I do. And this project is it's basically the very rough premise of it is that we live in an environment which is somewhere, anywhere, and nowhere. Basically, It can be a place that can be anywhere, and it's where it's now legal to nominate members of society to be assassinated if they've done something wrong. So you pitch it basically to the government, and you picture, like, if somebody has parked in front of your drive, you can nominate them to be assassinated, and it's up to the bureaucrats of each district to decide whether or not that assassination happens. And obviously, if somebody's parking in front of your drive, they'll go no, or you'd think they would anyway, unless they're corrupt. And there's
right.
ideas of corruption within this government.
Yeah.
But the idea behind the new law is people will be better to other people if they know that they can be nominated for assassination. So you won't park in front of somebody, or you will be nice to that person, and that's the idea behind it. Society has accepted it and gone with it, and there's kind of subcultures of people that haven't gone with it, and they've kind of created this underground subculture of people that think this is barbaric, and it follows the life of two assassins. One assassin who is bloodthirsty and loves her job and loves what she does, and another that has had a change of heart and is actually trying to get people out of the district that have hits sanctioned on them, and how
I love it,
and how they kind of interplay with one another. But everyone still thinks that this person's an assassin, but he's actually trying to get them out. And it's so there's a lot of killing, there's a lot of politics, and there's a lot of action and excitement.
A lot of conflict.
A lot of conflict.
Yeah, a lot of conflict. No, that sounds amazing. It sounds sort of very Black Mirror.
Yes, yeah, it is.
Yeah,
the first time I was pitched the idea, I had loads of questions for the writers, because I was like, well, I don't know if I can get into the world just yet. And the more I started to think about it after the meeting, the more I was like, actually, this could happen. It wouldn't surprise me anymore.
Totally. I mean, in America, for sure.
Yeah.
In Texas, for sure.
Well, it's that thing, though. The more you think about it, the more you go, I mean, the UK voted Brexit, which, again, to not get too political, for me is just crackers. But that's my own viewpoint, and I know other people have got a different viewpoint on that, and that's fine. But I couldn't believe that we did that. And the more I thought about this, the more I thought, well, actually, could people get on board with this and go, well, yeah, I'm happy to sign up to this because I'm a good person and I live, by good values and all that. So I'm not going to get nominated. But if there's a guy down the street that is abusing children, then he should die and we should get him assassinated or whatever. So I think it's quite an interesting idea, and the politics of it all as well comes into play, which is really, really nice. And also there's a little bit of drama, because you basically get pinged on a device that you've got 48 hours to leave the district, or you'll be assassinated. Yeah.
Okay. So there's no saying, wait a minute, I dispute this or anything.
No, it's just go and leave, and then you won't be assassinated. So they're
exile or death.
Yeah, but then there's the whole thing of going, well, where do they go to? And why do those people in those other districts?
Oh, that's interesting. So you end up with more and more worlds to explore. I love that. That's really smart, actually. So tell me, I'm super fascinated, as I'm sure most of my listeners are as well, about the casting process, because this is what you do. You are an acting coach for the final round, basically, at HolyOaks.
Yes.
So when someone's been invited to, how many rounds do they go to, for example?
It depends. I only see them at the last round, but it depends on the role and who they're looking for. Sometimes there might be an actor that might. A regular sort of process might be they tape for the part, so they send a self-tape in to Peter Hunt or Jill Charnock at Line Pictures. They they would then review those tapes, and then they would invite those actors to audition, either at Lion Pictures in Liverpool or maybe at a casting suite down in London. They do travel up and down to kind of make it a little bit more accessible for actors that are located in different parts of the country for that second meeting. And then possibly a third meeting, but normally that third meeting would actually be screen test. So they would kind of go, right, okay, we've seen them, we like their tape, we've seen them in person, we like what they're doing, so now we'll invite them to screen test. And then that's where I jump in, really. And at screen test, that's where you meet the producers, the exec producer, the series producer. So the exec is Lucy Allen, series producer Phil Dodds. Sometimes you might meet Josie as well, who's another producer on the show. And they would be at screen test, and they're basically to meet the actors, see them on screen. And the screen test is slightly different because you wouldn't normally in a screen test be reading with the casting director, Peter or Jill. You'd be reading with one of the actors on the show, on the set, under the lights, and with a bit of blocking and all that kind of jazz. So basically the stakes are a little bit higher. Sometimes at screen test they're even put through makeup and costume as well. You know, if the character has to have a particular look, you know, if they're like, we're kind of going really boho on this character, then it's like, okay, well, let's take them through a bit of costume, and just so the actors might not have that sort of get up. So they can go through that just so it can help with that visual aid. That happens sometimes, not always, but sometimes.
And so what is the process that you go through with the actors before the actual casting? Or do you have one?
Yes, I do. And I've not got a strict framework. It really does depend on each individual actor. So I'll normally spend about 45 minutes with the actors before they meet the producers in the screen test. And in the first few minutes, I'll start to gauge a little bit of an idea. First of all, I'll know the brief on what the producers are looking for, what the casting directors are looking for, because I'll have a chat with them beforehand. And I know the brief of the character, but I also then have a little bit of an understanding on what it is that they're after, what it is that they're looking for. So then I can start to direct the actors in a way that's going to kind of support them and help them to kind of achieve what the producers are looking for. But when I first meet them,
So wait, are you doing like a pre-rehearsal with them just to sort of see how their read on the character? Or
yeah. So that's basically the job, to kind of go, okay, they're making those choices. The producers aren't looking for those choices, and I'm not going to tell them that and worry them, but I'm going to start to guide them into a direction that is going to just help them later down the line.
Yes.
Sometimes the brief is quite open, so it's down to me whether or not I think that is a great choice that they're making. For example, without mentioning names, but we were at a screen test recently, and there was 4 people at that screen test, I think. Yes, there were 4 actors at that screen test, and each one of them in the rehearsal that came through, they all brought something different. And for this particular character, each one worked. It was all different and it was all interesting, but their take on how they wanted to play it had a slight different energy, a slight different feeling. Sometimes it's a completely different character altogether. And I liked them all. I thought they were all fabulous, and it all fit the narrative of what I was told in my meeting. So I was just encouraging them to kind of do that, to
go with it.
Go with that, because that's really interesting, and I like what you're doing with that. Shaping a few things just to kind of fit the brief, but other than that, leaving them, the boys, to do what they were doing. And then it came to their screen test, and again, without being specific, because the producers were going, "Wow, okay, I mean, it could go that way because that person did that thing and I really like that. And it could go that way because that person did that and I like that. And then there was that person that really kind of, they could do it as well, even though I never really saw the character like that." So it was a great screen test because there was just, whichever actor you picked, you were going to win, because they all brought something different. And it was basically, what do you want? What sort of energy are you going for? What sort of vibe do you want to kind of...
It must have been a really well-written role, too.
It was.
Because you have to have something to work with as an actor.
Yeah. It was a great role, and there was lots of subtext. There was a backstory that I could fill that actor in on. But there's lots of roles, really. When you get a role, it really is down to interpretation on how you want to, on how you see that role. And a lot of the time, I always think that, if you are looking at a piece of text and you've done your, table work, your getting under the skin of the black and white, what's on the black and white, and basing and hooking and rooting your character in the facts on the sheet, then as long as it's grounded in that, you can't really go wrong. It's the only time that you really go wrong on a character for me when you're working on anything I'm working on or any screen test I'm working on is if you're making choices that don't support the facts of what's written on the page, where you go, why are you playing it like that when actually it's literally written in a completely different way. But sometimes when you see an actor that's going, I've got all the facts, I've read the text, I've really kind of like understood what the writer's saying, and this is now how I breathe life into that character based on all those facts, but I'm still making all these choices. And you can go, oh right, cool, yeah, that's really interesting. It's a brand new take. I didn't see it like that, but I can see how you saw it like that, so I can still work with that.
Get on board with it. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. So how I'm fascinated that you said, it's just kind of hit me now that you said that people were kind of cold pitching the producers by sending in their self-tapes before they were invited to audition.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
Well, it's not a cold pitch. It's so the casting directors will put out a brief to the agents, and then the agents will send those tapes on.
Okay.
So I mean, the casting team I know do get cold pitches in the sense that people do send tapes to them sometimes to be considered for certain things. But that's and that might have happened in the past where Peter's kind of something's landed on his desk and he's gone, oh wow, brilliant timing.
Interesting. Right. I
mean, that person also probably needs to buy themselves a lottery ticket that night as well because they're they're having a good day. Normally, it's going through the channels of the agents.
Okay.
Or kind of those kind of lanes that they tend to work through.
Yeah. Now, do you have specific agencies that you work with over and over again, or is it just kind of you put out a broadcast on Spotlight? Obviously not for everybody, but for the agents, or how does that work with HolyOaks?
So there's an agent list, and that list is extensive. So if there's any actors that are listening to this that are thinking, "Oh, is my agent on the list?" The answer would probably be yes. There is a wide range of people. I'm not sure what that list is because I don't deal with the lists. But I do know that Peter and Jill have an extensive list of agents that they go to, and the more specific the brief, the wider that range will become. So it might be if there's something incredibly specific that a character need on the show that is really really detailed, where actually you're not going 25 to 30. Female, Caucasian, red hair, and you go, well, that's quite a large brief. It's when it's something much more narrow than that, then it
you have to cast a wider net.
And it probably goes out to Spotlight and or maybe sometimes even online. It could be a Twitter, a tweet or something. I know casting directors do that. Where they're looking for really specific, and they think, well, maybe one of my followers follow me. Which is why social media can be a great tool sometimes. It doesn't happen all the time, but I have seen briefs out there from a variety of casting directors that are like, I'm casting for this thing, and just going to the Twitter market, which is
I've seen it a lot. It's kind of amazing, but I mean it's true. And as you say, the more specific it is, the more likely it is that they'll be doing something like that.
And that's it. And self-rep, like there's a lot of actors that are self-repped, and that it's just a great shot for them to be able to go, finally I get a shot at writing to Peter or Jill or any other casting director, and putting my tape forward and I'm in with a chance.
Yeah. Do you think that matters if someone is self-repped or repped by an agency?
Not for me.
No.
It doesn't bother me at all. I always think that I judge you on what you do and what you can do. If you can act, I know fabulous actors that are unrepresented.
Me too.
Have chosen to be unrepresented and go, I don't want to have an agent, I'm fine. And others that are really looking for one, and I go, I don't know why you don't have one. I can ask some friends who are agents if they can take a look at you, but if they've already got somebody a bit like you, then they might not go for you because they've already got somebody that they need to look after, and I respect that. So it's really tricky sometimes, because you just go, oh wow, like I can't believe you don't have rep, and you've chosen to go out there to the market and try and find some. So I'd never, it would never bother me at all if somebody was self-represented. It's, can you do the job? And if you're in front of me and you're awesome, book them. They're ace. Like, I don't have to deal with the fact that they're self-reps. You know, the casting director has to deal with the fact that they're self-reps. And even then, the casting director's not going to be bothered, because they'll go be like, okay, you signed the contract now, and I'll deal with you instead of your agent.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are the things that the actors have in common that have come into a casting and just blown you away?
There's been a few that really, really memorable auditions, and I think, because I've thought about this actually quite a few times, when I think, well, what made them so memorable? There's a few now that really stick out in my brain. As soon as you said that, I was like, right, okay, blah, 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 without mentioning names.
They might not mind if you mention their names in this context.
But I think that what makes an audition so memorable and special for me, and for many of friends that I've spoken to that, you know, are sat in an audition with, is an actor that is incredibly empowered and kind of okay about being in that space, and happy to be in that space. Now, that might seem a bit strange to kind of say, well, every actor will be happy to be in an audition, and you'd think that'd be true, but sometimes people are so nervous that actually, I get the sense that sometimes when an actor shuts the door behind them, they breathe a sigh of relief, like, I did it, I made it, I did, you know what I mean? Like, I made really tough obstacle.
I'm done.
And it's like, don't do that. Like, breathe before you walk in the door and go, I'm here. And then open the door and then just go, I'm here. I've only got a few minutes with you guys to shine and radiate and be brilliant and awesome. Like, that's, and sometimes you just see an actor getting through it. I remembered all the words. I think I was confident. I think I did this. And it's all this tension that they hold. And you just go, I don't think you're enjoying yourself. And if you're not enjoying yourself, then maybe we're not enjoying watching you either. It's not as enjoyable, because it's not as free. And I think the best auditions are those ones that where you just see an actor who is completely at ease with themselves in the room, empowered, prepared, and playful, and just like, let's do some work, let's make some stuff happen. And they create a little bit of magic. It's like you see that little twinkle in their eye, and you're just watching going, I'm enjoying this, I'm just enjoying watching you work. And then you give them a note, and then they take the note because they listen, and they're not just panicking about like, oh, did I remember all my lines? Or, you know, they're thinking about something else. They're just listening to you. They take the note and they go, okay, and they process that note really quick. And the best thing is, it doesn't feel like you've given them a note, and that is the best way an actor can ever take a note. Like, it doesn't feel like my hands are on it. It's like it's all yours, and they just go take it, and it's like it was their idea. And I'd always suggest, like, any actor that goes into an audition that's receiving a note from a director or a casting director, as soon as you hear it, take away all the fact that they've said it and just say it to yourself like it's your idea. You know, go. If I said, oh, okay, Anne, what I'd like you to do is, I want you to be a little bit more aggressive on that middle bit or whatever. You could go, right, okay, great, okay. And then in your head, go, I'm going to be super aggressive on that middle bit, or I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. Like, it's.
Oh, I love that. That's kind of brilliant, David. I've been acting a long time. I don't think I've ever done that when I've been given a note. I've processed it differently, and like my immediate mind goes to, okay, he wants it more aggressive, so I'm going to eviscerate him. I'm going to, I start trying to find activating words for myself.
Yeah. But that in a way is kind of coming back to making it yours. But I just think that when you take a note, it's like, what that director says, if it's a good note and it works, it's just own it. It's like, it's mine. It's not your idea. It's my idea. And sometimes I see like an actor trying to please me because they want to do what I've asked them to do, and they do, and it's like, oh great, yeah, nice one. You've done what I've asked you to do. But
Yeah.
when an actor goes, it's not your idea, it's my idea. I own this
Yeah.
idea and I want to play it like this. Then I go, I've got nothing to do with this. This actor's just awesome. They're
Yeah.
just, and in turn that makes me look awesome because I go, oh, my note really worked. And they go, it's just because you did
Exactly.
it. You know, you were
Yeah.
awesome. And then that makes me
Yeah.
feel awesome. And then the casting director's looking at the side going, oh, yeah, everything's going really well. And, you know, and
Yeah.
even if you don't book the job, that casting director is going to bring you back in again because you all a casting director wants to do is bring in awesome actors so then they can look good to a director or a producer. You know, the
Sure.
day those boys came in, which is that example that I said about earlier, what a slam dunk for the casting team at Hollyoaks. Like they were like,
Yeah. They're just like, next time you'll listen to me.
yeah, it's that thing of
Right.
picking. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
great casting session where the producers
Yeah.
loved everyone that came through the door, and that happens quite a lot at Hollyoaks because you know the casting
Yeah.
team are fab, and the producers are always happy with the people that come through the door. But when you
Yeah.
get such a positive, like it could be anybody's, it's a great day for a casting team, and it's the same with directors. Like if a director is seeing lots of cool actors and they're all taking their notes. Or you know, if they're taking their notes well, and then somebody goes and just smashes a note, then that might be the thing that just kind of pips you to the post on that job because they're like, they really listen to me, they really respond well to my notes. I got to spend 12 hours a day on set with them. Who's it going to go to? Like they're all good, but that one really just shone in the notes. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's likely to lean in your favor.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love the point you said about having fun because I've noticed that, you know, in my own auditions, the ones where I really just was like having a blast, 9 times out of 10, I got
Mm-hmm.
it. I mean, it was like that, you know, maybe the one time I didn't because whatever, but and the times where I was just like, ugh, you know, I really want this and I really want to do it right. That's like the kiss of death.
Absolutely. If you have fun,
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, we have fun, and
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. It's like
Yeah.
we're just people, just playing games. You know, we're just all big
Yeah.
kids in this industry, and we all just want to believe in the fairy tales that we've created, you know. And it's like I've got this script and I pass it to you and I want you to do something with it. Like I want you to make me
Yeah.
fit so then I believe
Yeah.
it and then I can be like, oh yeah, my film's great, yeah, that person will look great. And it's all
Right.
we're all just playing
Right.
games, and the more the actor can get into that mind frame of just going, I'm here to play, I'm a player, I'm a person that does things, I bring life to this piece of work, and I'm going to show you some of that life right now, and then we can talk about it, and then you can give me some ideas on what you think that life's about, and then I can give you some ideas on how I'm going to play that
Yeah.
then. And it just becomes this really wholesome, collaborative experience where we can all just watch and enjoy. And if we're watching and enjoying, it doesn't even matter if you don't get the job. I can almost guarantee you're going to be back in the room for that casting director and you're going to be thought about by that director because that director is going to be like, on their next project, something's going to come up. And when I read a script, there's like, I hear voices in my head, not in a scary way, but like in a way that's like, I hear the characters speaking. And sometimes actors that I've worked with, I hear their voices because it's easy for me to imagine that, you know, like
Yeah.
if there's an actor that's blown me away in an audition or whatever, their voice might just creep into the script, and I'm like reading it, going, oh, and then their voice starts playing. Then all of a sudden, it's like, oh god, is this their job already? They've not even
Yeah.
got to the end of the script,
Yeah.
and this is somebody that I'd like to definitely consider for the role. And that's because they've just given a great casting, or I've worked with them in some capacity, and I think they're awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, I have that even within my writing, right? Because I'm an actor and a writer. So 9 times out of 10, when I'm writing a character, I have someone in mind. Whether they will ultimately play that, that's, you know, that remains to be seen. But I definitely have someone in mind because they've really impressed me in some way.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Honestly.
I can totally see where, yeah.
And there's been times, and this is a good thing for any actors listening, there's been times where I've read a role with somebody in my head and I've gone, right, it's that person. And then I've come to a casting and that person's been there, and there's been a few other people that have been in the casting as well, because it's never a one horse race. I'll never do that. I always want to give out, actors a fair shake, and they have to earn their role. But there was this one instance in particular, and again, I won't say names, but it's all true, everything that I'm saying. And it was always their role when I read it, and then they came in and they did an audition. It was good, and it was safe, and it was solid, and it was like, yeah, told you, they were great. And then this other actor came in, and when you were talking about the blowing away thing, blew me away, and he got the job. The other person, not the person that I had in my head whilst I was reading it, and I was prepping this for like a couple of months before this thing, and I was like, yeah, I had a massive dilemma. It took me all weekend to decide, because it was a casting that was just before the weekend, all weekend to decide, and I was back and forth like, oh god, like, what am I going to do? And I thought, I've got to go with who was best on the day, and that was best on the day, and they picked the job.
Well, it can happen. I had a really good friend. Yeah, absolutely. I had a really good friend who was auditioning, and he auditioned with a friend of his who was also auditioning for the same role. And then my friend showed me both auditions. And I mean, the other guy was going to get the role. I knew it immediately, just because he was having so much fun.
Yeah.
He, and it was interesting too. I thought, now I don't know how much, do you have anything to do with self-tapes at all? Like, are you in that process of it, or?
To a certain degree. I mean, I see self-tapes, especially during COVID times, when, you're casting for something, it was all self-tape. So anything any part that we had come through, it was all on self-tape. So I've seen lots of self-tapes, but and I kind of help actors on their self-tapes. But from a casting perspective, they're definitely just like phase one, really, now. For many casting directors, not all. I'm sure there's some that just use self-tape, but I'm yet to meet a casting director that doesn't like the in the room stuff and just meet in the room. So it tends to just be like the first phase, which is where the most actors kind of are subbed, because of the beauty of self-tape is you can cast the net wider. And that's what I do like self-tape for that reason. I know some actors get a bit bummed out by self-tapes. They're like, oh, it's taping, I'd love to get into the room. But I can say to those actors, you might not have got into the room had it not been for self-tapes, because the beauty about self-tape, if you think about it, just think about the logistics of a casting director. Okay, so now, say I'm a casting director, I put out a casting brief, and then I go, okay, well, I've got 1 day to cast. I'm going to go down to London for 1 day, so I'm going to hire a studio out for 1 day, and I'm going to see some actors. I want to see an actor. I want to see an actor every 15 minutes. So that's 4 an hour. So I've got 8 hours, but I need to take a lunch break, and I need a couple of breaks before that. So actually, you're thinking about 6 hours with 4 actors in each. So 4, 12, 16, 20. What's that? Oh God, I don't even know my times table, but that's what you're talking, like 30 actors.
I'm not good at math either, but I know what you're talking about. It's a lot.
You're right. Talking like you're going to see, including breaks and your lunch break and everything like that, you might see anything between 24 and 30 actors, let's say, right? And that's a busy casting day. The beauty about self-tape is you can see more than 30 in a day with self-tapes. So you can cast the net wider. So, when actors get a bit bummed out and they go, oh, but I want to be in the room. It's like, you might get in the room. Do a good tape and you might get in the room, because you might get whittled down to those 24 in the roomers.
Yeah.
But before self-tape, it was just, I can only see 24. And because there's a lot of negotiations that we've got to do. And there's also a lot of work to see those 24 people, because you've got to ring the agent, you've got to book the time, they've got to then go to their client and go, can you get in that time? So there's a lot of admin to kind of make the slots all happen. Oh, I don't have that slot anymore. Can they move to this slot? And blah, 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 blah. With a self-tape, casting directors can look at them on the train. They can look at them, if they're a complete workaholic, which some of them are because they're freelancers, they could be eating their lunch and just playing a couple of self-tapes. Well, you won't do that in a casting. You won't be just like eating some noodles and kind of going like that and just looking half at the side and going, yeah, keep going like that. But they can do that.
Yeah.
See more people. They can cast. They can look at things on the train. You're never going to have a casting on a train. If you do,
Yeah.
probably working with the wrong casting director because they're not very professional. So
Yeah.
it's that whole thing of going, well, I can
Yeah.
now see 65, 70 tapes, and then I
Yeah.
can whittle them down to 24 in the room. So you get a better shot at getting your name in the hat early on with a tape, which is why I think they're really, really valuable things. But obviously,
Oh, I do too.
getting
Absolutely. And also just logistically, you know, being cast for things in the States or whatever it is, just even getting in, as you say, in la, 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 you know, becoming in question. That's not how you say it. I've just totally translated that from German. Just, you know, like being considered.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it is. Yeah, being considered. So that was, yeah, it just gives you a chance you definitely wouldn't have had.
It does.
But on that note, like some of the cast, for instance, this one self-tape that I saw of the two friends and the one who ended up getting the role, he included a lot of outtakes and stuff. And I'm sure you've seen that one casting tape from the kid from Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name?
Yeah. I know who you mean. I've seen.
You know who I'm talking about. Yeah. I fucking loved that tape. I thought it was amazing. And I'm always interested to know what casting directors or people in a position to cast think of something like that. Because I just thought, I mean, it was, for me, super obvious he was having a blast. He was just like, fuck it. This is my interpretation. This is my self-tape, and this is how I'm going to do it. On the other hand, I could see where casting directors would be like, don't waste my time. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see you dance. You know, I just want to see you do the damn role. You know, so it's sort of a conundrum, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, like, yeah.
Unfortunately, there's no answer to it that is right. It's all taste. It's all just down to taste, which is, again, some casting directors will be like, no, don't waste my time, and other casting directors, but I think that's fabulous. And it's just all taste and opinion, which is really difficult for an actor and quite frustrating. It's like, well, I don't know how I should go about doing my tapes, which is why it's always good to, as you kind of develop your skill sets, and maybe meet those casting directors, you might start to get a bit of a vibe from them anyway. You know, like, I think they'd be okay with that. All right. And it's all think and I think this and I think that. You don't know. No one really knows. It depends if that casting director's having a good day that day. You know, they might normally entertain those tapes, and then that day it's like, I've had a terrible day. No, and they're scrubbing through. It's awful because there's no formula that is the right answer. Because there's many casting directors with different opinions. I would always say the thing that does ring true throughout 99.9% of all casting directors is be truthful, be committed, be connected, have fun, make sure we can see you, and make ssure we can feel your performance. And it's like, if those boxes are ticked, then you kind of, across the whole spectrum, that the casting directors are going to entertain that. But then, obviously, when there's different sort of things that you're trying to do with the thing, and you're trying to go, right, I'll go really close with my eyes, or whatever, that comes down to a taste thing. But at the same time, if it ticks all those boxes, you should be kind of getting considered for those things, those roles, because you're doing your job, you're playing, you're acting, you're being, you're
having fun.
You're being, you're having a go at the text, and you've put some time and bloody effort into it, so it should be watched. All the tapes that get submitted should be watched, and I'm sure they do. But then, there could be some casting directors out there that don't and scrub on or whatever. I don't know if they do or they don't, because I'm not a casting director, but I'd like to think in my own little lovely head that they all watch every single tape and it's all there. And that'd be great. In a perfect world, that is how it's going. Yes.
If we talk about, like, just possibly even submitting a self-tape like that and saying to the casting director if you have a relationship with them or not, just, okay, this is this one, and then I could also send you one. But then again, I think it's sort of back-footing, and maybe that's not so strong.
Be you. Be you. Be undoubtedly you. Like, there is only one of you in the whole universe, and that is special and magical, and life is short, and we're hurtling through space and time. We don't know why we're here. We just make it up as we go along. So don't worry about it too much. Do what you do
Yeah.
and do it really, really well, because there is
Yeah.
only one of you, and there is only you that can tell this story the way how you're going to tell it. So just be empowered and go, fuck it. I'm just going to do it my way because this is how I want to do it. Now, with that, as long as it's based in the facts of the text and you've done the work, don't
Yes.
just go, fuck it, I'm going to play it like this because I feel like playing it like this today. Because it's
Right.
like, well, why? Why have you done it like that? Because that doesn't make sense to what is on the script and what what the character is about. But if you've done the work and you've done your reconnaissance, you've really thought about it, and you've mined the text and you've worked on it and you've worked on the character and you've developed it, and it's all rooted in what could be perceived as the facts on the page, and you've brought that to life with something interesting and different, and you do it. Just do it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? They won't consider you for the role. Okay, well, there'll be other roles.
Yeah.
Dust
Yeah.
yourself
Yeah.
off,
Absolutely.
track back on again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you?
And you've also given them an insight into your true kind of essence and how you like to play things, so they know better for the next time, what to call you in for.
100%. Never try and think, oh, I
Yeah.
better play it like how like what to their taste. Like I'll adapt myself,
Right.
and morph myself into something that will be suited to their tastes. Go and suit it to the character's taste. Suit it to the character's thoughts and the character's feelings, and how that integrates with how you understand those thoughts and feelings as because you have to tell the story. And you are the instrument that and you need to look after your instrument. You need to play your instrument, which is you, to the best of your ability. And when it comes to TV and film, it's got to feel truthful and it's got to feel rooted if it's one of those types of films or television shows, obviously. It's got to feel committed and connected. The only way you can commit and connect to something is if you're using you in a fuller and more truthful way.
Yeah, as Stanislavski said, the magical what if.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Under the given circumstances. So let's talk about your school a little bit. Now, especially the online school, because I find that very fascinating. What are your students mostly younger? Are they sort of people who are jumping in at all ages? Tell me about that a little bit.
All ages. 18 plus is the criteria, really. So we're an adult TV acting school. The online classes started as a result of the pandemic. I mean, we never had online classes before that. We were always live, and then obviously the pandemic happened, and we all had to try and adapt to a new way. And we started to look at online. Well, actually, when the pandemic first hit, I just did free. Every week, I'd do. Basically, I wanted to kind of give back to our community, our brilliant community acts up north, just give back to them. So I sent free tasks every week and said, you need to submit this to me and I will give you some personal feedback on each individual.
That's amazing,
through
David.
the school,
wow.
which basically tied me to my desk for a good 12 hours a day, trying to get through everybody and give them all video feedback or written feedback on their tape that they submitted, which was exhausting, but I did it for I think I did 10 weeks of that, maybe 12 weeks of that, which was crazy. And then every week I also did an Instagram live, just a bit like what we are doing now, but with different industry pros. And that was all for our followers, all for free. And that was the first step into this online world. And then obviously we were just getting locked down for longer and longer, as we all know. And then we started to think, okay, we maybe need to move classes online for a time, because there's this whole community of people that are loving these things that we're doing, but it's all individual work, it's all self-tape stuff that I was watching, and it was a one-on-one for every single student. So we started to get together on Zoom, and it developed, and then when we all got let back out again, and we could start to see people and open the studios up, there were certain people in the community that was like, this really works for me and my lifestyle. Like my kids, I can put them to bed and I can put the tea on, and and then I can just come to class. I don't have to commute for 45 minutes or an hour and a half or whatever. So it works quite nicely for certain people, not all, because it's a completely different format. Being online is a new way to learn, really, and it's a different way to learn than what you would get from a live class. So we carried it on, and then and now we've got 3 classes now that we run every week online, on a Wednesday and a Thursday, and it's great, and people love it, and now, because of Active North is known quite well in the UK, but also from seas ashore. People come from different places. We've got people signing in from Texas,
Germany,
lots of stuff. Germany.
Oh, from Texas as well.
Germany,
yeah. Wow.
Greece.
Wow.
We've got a Russian student. All English speaking, really fluent English.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
An English speaking acting class, but yeah, it's strange actually, because but we also get some of our students that have gone traveling, like that are signing in from Chile and places like that. They're like, well, I'm backpacking in Chile, but I still want to come to classes, so they come and they're signing in. So it's great, because that's what the beauty of online. I know we're talking from 2 different countries right now. What a fabulous tool we have. So we use it, which is great.
Absolutely. I mean, if there's anything we have to be thankful for to the pandemic for, it's this.
Yes.
That it's opened up the world for us.
I think as well.
Well, I know.
Oh, sorry, to jump over. I think, again, just picking up on the pandemic, and I think what also helped me in the pandemic was actually realizing about being able to kind of take a little bit of a step back from something. I work really, really hard, and I'm super passionate about my job and my career and everything like that. But having this massive thing that came in the way actually made me think what was really important in life, and family and friends and people that you love. And actually, through having a little bit of that change in perspective, it really empowered me to be a better artist, because I knew that my work was important to me, and it always will be, but my family and my friends and my people that I love are even more important to me. And that empowered me to kind of go, okay, if it all ended tomorrow, it's not the end of the world, as long as I've got the people that are around me that I love. And that helped me be a better artist, I think, because I was like, okay, I'm not going to panic so much about work. If work's coming in, fine, fab, I work really, really hard. If work's not coming in, fine, fab, I work hard to get that work, but I'm not going to start losing sleep over it, pulling my hair out over things that I can't control. I'll just look at the things that I can control, and I'll do that as best I can. And if something comes of it, fabulous. If it doesn't, I'll try a different approach, but I'm not going to literally pull my brains out trying to stress and worry about it. Now, before the pandemic, I probably would have done. I'm not working, I'm not doing this. What am I need to do? I need to do something different, It's like, okay, now I go, okay, it's not working, that bit didn't work, what can I do to do it different? I'm still asking the same questions, and I'm still doing the same work, but I'm doing it with a level of stress that's just reduced. Not to a zero.
Which also makes you much more attractive. Yeah, honestly.
I think it does.
Right? Because you're not going at it with this sense of like desperation. I must have it. I have to do this. Mm-hmm. And also, I think, I don't know why it is, but I think actors more than any other artist, to me at any rate, maybe just because I am an actor, but we seem susceptible to the idea that like we can get real tunnel visioned on, I am just an actor. I am an actor, and you forget, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a dog mom, I'm a friend, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter. I have a life that makes a difference to other people, whether I act or not. My husband could care less. He'd probably prefer it if I wasn't acting, to be honest. So, I mean, it's, it matters to me, and it's a facet of who I am, but it is not the whole package. And that's what also makes me a better actor, because I have other things to bring to the table.
100%, because you've got, as I said before, it's you that tells the story. And if you've got that mindset, it can really help you, because you make better choices. Because you're not working through stress and anxiety and tension. Yeah. You're working through a level of ease, a level of relaxation. Just breathe. Just don't worry. If you're still here and you're still happy, you've still got people around you that can support you in whatever way, you've won. And this the stuff at the side, the acting, the writing, the whatever it is that you want to be directing, that's all cool stuff to do and really really nice and cathartic and awesome. But it's just work, and you can just do that really well, and also have a life at the side of it. I forgot that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you did with, your acting school. I mean, you were always doing something,
I
right? Well, I guess even that came ground to a stop at
It
one
did.
point,
It
but
did. Yeah,
yeah,
everything
yeah,
did. And obviously, this free stuff that I was doing to the community was keeping me very busy. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's just. I think mindset is a huge thing to.
So do
It's
I.
so.
I think it's like 80, at least 85% of
I
everything.
see just as a thought on that. I see actors before their screen test, obviously as we've discussed, and I work with them, and because they know what my job is to kind of make them awesome, they really respond really well to it. They relax, they become awesome, and then I go, yeah, that's exactly it. Get it, bottle it, stick it in. I'll see you in 20 minutes for the screen test, and they go, great, okay, and they walk out and they're full of beans and everything, and they're like really really happy, and then sometimes, not always, but sometimes then they come back in the room and they don't do what they did before, when we were rehearsing. And I think,
It's
well,
that
what's
little
happened? They haven't
voice.
got worse actor in that 20 minutes that I've been there. They haven't become a bad actor or got rusty or anything like that. All that's happened is their mindset's changed, and now they've gone. Now it's the screen
Yeah.
test. Now I'm seeing scary people, and all of a sudden, this fear's crept in, and this doubt, and they've lacked empowerment. They've lacked self belief, and then made a performance that feels more vanilla, safe,
Safe.
uninspiring.
Yeah.
They've lost the twinkle in their eye, and I don't do this afterwards. But if I did, I go, what happened in there? What? How come? Oh, I got really nervous. Why were you nervous? Oh, because I really wanted the job. Right. So you got so nervous that you really wanted the job that you've just sabotaged the thing that you really wanted because you
Yeah.
really wanted it. It's this
It's heartbreaking.
completely anarchic circle,
Yeah.
and I see that. I see that, which the producers don't see that because they just see what they see. But I
Yeah.
go, oh no, I saw their true potential, and then I saw what they did on the day, and that true potential to what they did on the day. Sometimes that marries up really nicely. Other times you see it just totally change, and you're like, oh, I've just
Yeah.
witnessed somebody. I've witnessed that day somebody's true potential, and then their screen test. And if their screen test is lower than their true potential, it's heartbreaking for me to watch because I'm like, that could have been your job, and you've got
And you
really,
just
and
sabotaged it.
you
Yeah.
sabotaged it through
Yeah.
nervousness or through self doubt or through lack of
Yeah.
belief in yourself, and you just go, wow, please change that. Any actors listening to us today or whenever, just always know that your mind, the way how you frame your mind, is super important when you're acting. And anybody that you're acting in front of, irregardless of their name or their title or anything, they are just people, and you're just
Yeah.
performing for people. And that's what you
Yeah.
like to do. So go and do what you like
Yeah.
to do to those people, and don't
Yeah.
put executive producer in front of it. Just go person that would like to see me
Yes.
act.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so true, but it's, easier said than done. There are jobs that do raise these internal stakes. And I also have thought a lot about that. Like how do you find ways to lower those stakes? To make it about the moment. Because, I don't know any actor that hasn't blown an audition because they wanted the job so badly, you know. So it's like kind of an endemic thing. Like some people have found a way to get around it most of the time, but I think even then there are certain jobs you just want.
Mm-hmm.
You've like built this whole future around it.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it's that. Maybe it's stopping yourself from building a future around the job and make more a future around how much fun you're going to have in the casting.
Absolutely. It's like what I've just said to you
Yeah.
before about change mindset. Just don't build your life around your job. Build your life around the people you love, and then go and do your job
Yeah.
the best you can, and enjoy your
Yeah.
job. And if you don't enjoy your job, take a step back for a while, just for a month or two, and just go, okay, I'm not enjoying this anymore. It's making me feel sick. It's making me feel sad. It's making me feel this. So now I'm going to go and play the guitar. I'm going to go write some poems. I'm going to go walking in the mountains. I'm going to go do something that I enjoy and that I love.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to, and if you really love acting, you will come back to it because it will call you.
Absolutely.
You don't have a choice. I don't have a choice when it comes to this job because it's part of me. It's like, I know it is. So if I walked away from it, I'd be incredibly like, there's a part of me that's missing. But if it was making me sad, I'd go and do something that makes me happy. And then I know that I'd come back to this if it really meant something. And it ain't going anywhere. Telly, films ain't going anywhere because people love them.
Right.
So we're not going anywhere as an industry. So don't think that these big jobs will validate any sort of happiness or anything, because it won't. I know plenty of people that have done very, very well in their careers, and they get to where they got and they go, oh, is this it? I thought this might bring with me buckets of happiness, but actually it was just a job on a film set with a really cool director, and I had a really cool part, but I'm still the same person. I'm still that person that, I thought that this would be the thing. And I'm talking about people that have won, fabulous awards and done fabulous jobs. And you go, yeah, but don't build your life around that sort of stuff. Build your life around things that are more solid and that are real, like family, friends, pets, children, walking, exercise, whatever it is that's real, and the other stuff is just awesome extra stuff. And don't get me wrong, I work really hard and I love my job and I want to do really, really well in my job. And sometimes I need to remind myself of that, because if I go for a meeting with somebody, I might get nervous. But it's
sure. It's. I mean, we're human, right? We have stakes and we're human.
It's a natural thing. But if you work with it and try not to work against it, it will work with you rather than against you. So if you are ever nervous and if you suffer from nerves, which many people do, I would always say, listen to the nerves. Don't try and repress them. If you go, I'm an actor and actors don't get nervous, that's wrong. They do. All actors get nervous. So what you've got to do is go, okay, I'm nervous. Why am I nervous? Because I really want the job, because it's a really, really important thing to me, and I want to get this gig. And you go, okay, so it's a normal thing then that you feel it. Well, yeah, it is normal because I really want the job. All right, okay, well, it's normal then. So breathe through it. And then you go, okay, so then I start to breathe through it. And then I go, okay, well, these nerves actually then might start to work for me. Because when you walk into an audition, if you're working with yourself rather than against yourself, then you won't see this horrible thing that you see in auditions when an actor's got scripts and they're trying to kind of cut off their body. And it's like, it's full of tension because the nerves are there, and they're going, I'm not nervous, casting director, I'm not nervous. It's like, no, I am nervous. I'm really nervous because I really want this job. So all of a sudden then the nerves are allowed to travel through, and sometimes that can turn into adrenaline, and that can give you focus, specificity, clarity, confidence, that little energy behind your eyes where we go, oh, I love what they're doing, I don't know what it is. It's like, it's just this nervousness that I'm working with because it's in me, and I'm harvesting a natural raw energy that can't be acted. You can't act that stuff. It's real. Right. Use it, and it might get you the job.
That is the one thing, you've reminded me of it, but that is the one thing that I do miss about in-room castings with self-tapes, because I'm never nervous for a self-tape. Never. And that nervous energy is useful. It heightens everything. So
it helps.
I mean, too nervous, everything in moderation, right? But it.
Unless the character is but you'll find, right, if you ever got a character that's like a bumbling, nervous wreck, you won't be as nervous because the body will you're like, oh great, I just get to use all this nervousness, and then you've given yourself permission to be empowered, and then you'll be like sat in the casting room going, where are my nerves? It's like, because you've given yourself permission to not be, because you've gone, I'm allowed to be nervous now in this character, therefore you're less nervous because your body's going, oh right, so we can chill out a little bit because we feel empowered. Like, no, I want you to be nervous. It's the whole thing about being empowered.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, David, I know you have your sizzle reel that you have to go shoot right now. So I know you have to get going. Thank you so much for this. This was so much fun, so useful. And I look forward to talking to you again real soon sometime.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm more than happy to come back as well and talk about other things.
Now, where can people find you if you would like to be found?
So I've got an online Twitter. I don't even know.
David Crowley.
Yes,
you don't know it.
David Crowley, and you'll find me on Instagram and Twitter. I think I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm just David Crowley, I think, and then on Instagram, I think I'm David J. On Twitter, I think I'm David J. Crowley. I think.
Okay.
I'm
well,
useless.
under one of those two, people will find you. Doesn't sound like you'll be doing much answering if you don't even know your handle.
No, I always.
But at least they can follow you. Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. Anybody that ever tweets me, I don't check it very often, but when I do, I respond to everyone that tweets me, or I try. And if I ever haven't, I'm very sorry I've missed it somehow. But I always respond because I always think if somebody takes the time to tweet me, I will always try and find some time to tweet back.
Oh, that's very nice. All right. Well, you kill your sizzle reel. I want you to do a great job. I'm sure you will. And that's a whole nother subject. But yeah, have a wonderful time. And I hope to talk to you again soon.
Fab, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for watching this video. David was just so amazing. I will definitely have him back on the show. In fact, we discussed before the interview started about possibly having a show on how to break down a script for an audition. So if that's something that you would like to know or have David back on for, please write script breakdown or David Crowley down in the comments below, and I will make sure to pass on that information to David. Once again, thank you so much for your support, for watching this video all the way to the end. Big kudos to you for that. Take a second to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time on Act Bold. Stay your bold and beautiful self. Until then, bye-bye.